Well, hello everybody.
Hello.
We're back.
We
Welcome
are
back.
back.
It's really good to see you. And it's really good to see all of you.
You too.
Likewise.
Here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so it's post-Easter,
Yes.
and the tomb has been empty, and after Easter, there's this seasonal thing that kind of affects a ton of us who have sprinkler systems.
Oh, yes.
And it happens every year, and there's a phenomenon, and I just came to this place of like, I don't have control over this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there's this phenomenon that if you do a good job taking care of your sprinklers, you pump them out or you blow them out, and you winterize them properly, you should be able to turn them on, and
They just work.
Voila, and there is the water that comes and takes care of all things, and spring has begun. And so Easter, especially like the post-Easter experience, like that's the thing I hope for. Like, I'm gonna turn these on,
They're gonna work.
and spring has begun. But every year I find myself digging holes in the spots that these volcanic explosions are happening, or the sprinkler heads break, or
Or
I
it's
had
just
a
laying
bigger
there in the
break.
grass.
Yeah, it's just like, man, how did this happen? And I thought I did a good job. And so just bringing up this like thing that I've been experiencing and thinking about this idea of the control that I actually have. Because I have this idea that if I do a good job in things, if I'm a good person, if I do all the things, that then everything is going to pan out in the end, and the sprinklers are going to go off how they should, but it doesn't ever happen. And so going into spring and summer and our hopes and dreams for the season at hand, I want to talk about the idea of perceived control and the things we actually have control over. And there's the topic somehow of Pope Francis and how his death is going to be tied in to this.
Okay, great.
Okay,
We're
so
gonna make-
Sprinklers, the
Pope,
Easter,
spring,
summer. Okay.
and control.
You're going to want to
All
keep
right.
listening.
So the table has been set.
Okay.
There you go.
What do you feel like was winterized that is getting turned back on?
Wow, that's a good question. That's a good question. There's a long pause.
Wasn't the question we expected.
I don't know if there's a turning off and turning on.
Okay.
There's more of there's more of this like theme of if I do a good job taking care of things.
Yeah.
Okay, like if I do a good job, if I do a good job investing, I'm going to have this. If I do a good job as a parent and I parent how I think I'm supposed to parent, then my kids are going to turn out like this. Like,
Or if I take care of myself and go to the gym, I'm not going to get sick or deal with any health challenges. Yeah, man. So it's funny you bring up the sprinklers because you and I were talking about this just the other day.
So I sent him a picture. I'm like, help me. I don't know how to fix
Because
this
you
one.
just were doing this.
Yeah. I mean, every year, like I deal with that same frustration with my water system, right? I blow it out, I take care of it. But without fail, there's always 3 or 4 lines that get broken. This year it had to, like I had a bunch that got broken because of the fiber company cutting them. Mm-hmm. But I think the reason I always get so frustrated is because of exactly what you talked about. It's like I did everything right. And I'm never really in this mindset of like maintenance that things actually, like you have to maintain them, right? It's not just a one and done, I did it, I'm good, let me coast for the rest of my life. It's like, no, like to have an adequate watering system, you've got to maintain it. And you just kind of got to plan in there. Like there are things I'm going to have to do because life happens that, might be frustrating. It might be annoying. It might not be what I want to do, but there are things that I have to do in order to maintain the system I have in order to get the results that I want, which is a green lawn. And I think life is honestly, it's the same way. It's not, hey, I was really good at athletics in high school and I stayed in shape, so I'm good for the rest of my life. It's like, no, you actually kind of got to maintain that. It's not, I lost 10 pounds in January because I had a great goal. Now I can eat whatever I want. It's like, no, you've got to figure out how to maintain that. It's not,
I hate that rule.
I had this amazing spiritual experience at Easter and now I'm good for the rest of the year. It's like, no, you have to maintain that. But we're not trained to think about life that way. Like, we're really not. Like, we are very much in the perspective, I did it, I'm good to go. I did the right thing. Everything should be fine. It's like, well, no. Like, all things that are worth having, all things that are worth achieving or stepping into, they're things you have to continue to work at.
Yeah, that's good.
I have no idea how the Pope ties into this.
I'm not trying.
I don't either. We might not get there. I actually am more intrigued by your question of what was turned off that needs to be turned on, or maybe not needs, but has this feeling. And I think in my case, this post-Easter season really brings into light the neglect that I've had on like friendships and intentionality with people outside of like my home. I feel like winter and fall becomes this like hibernation season of like, I know, for all the introverts.
The
it's like,
introverts celebrate.
Yes. And I'm married to one, so yeah. But I find myself in this place of like craving fellowship, craving time with other people, you know, and craving like connection with, growing in relationships and stuff, along with conviction of, man, I've really let that friendship go. I have not checked in with this person. I have not, you know, like just thinking about being with them. So that's how I feel post-Easter.
All right, so hypothetically here, to go into the poetry of it all. So say you turn that back on. What is an example of a pipe exploding in that context?
Of a pipe exploding?
Like that
or a broken sprinkler head.
You're like, oh, I
Something
blew it here.
Yeah.
Or I didn't have control over this and it just happened.
But I did have control over it. And I let go of the maintenance of it.
Maybe it's an unintentional consequence then. It's like you made a decision not really thinking through the ramifications.
Yeah.
So it's like, like I was so busy with kids and sports and all the stuff, like I never reached out to this person and now they feel neglected.
Right.
And they're not responding because they felt like I abandoned them. So I think...
And just the awkwardness of getting back into the relationship, I think. And I hate that awkward feeling with people that I care about. And
I don't know. Like I get it. I see that. I feel like there's this seasonal phenomenon because I'm talking to just different people who are doing the same thing. That it's like a season of patching, a season of fixing.
Yep.
So that they can go forward. And so as I was patching these pipes and cutting and sawing and pulling out my hair,
crying.
This is a very poetic picture of the season that I've been seeing different people going through of patching and fixing and healing. And a bunch of these things had been very unintentional because they had done things correctly.
Well, and then you got the flip side, right? To use the sprinkler metaphor, I have some neighbors who didn't blow out their sprinklers at all. And so, like, legitimately, like, so when they turn their stuff on, it's like, no, like, you deserve that flood in your yard. This is your fault.
Turns out.
And I think, honestly, for the people listening, and probably even for us to a degree, like, there are probably different parts of our life where it's like we did all the right stuff and something still broke. Yeah. And then there are other seasons, like Jenny's talking about, where it's like, no, I didn't blow out the sprinkler system. Yeah. Like, I royally screwed this one up myself. And it's honestly, sometimes it's hard to really be able to identify in the moment which one of those is like an accurate assessment of who we are. I think sometimes we can look back and have like, I don't know, hindsight. Like hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
But in the midst of the moment, like you're never really thinking, oh, I'm neglecting this person because
Right.
you're so caught up in everything you're already doing. And I don't know, like, is there a way for us to become more aware in the moment of these things, like to kind of take inventory of our own lives, our own relationships, our own priorities, and say, hey, these are the things that I probably need to maintain. Like, these are the things that I actually probably need to care about. Because I think for most of us, we get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life. We get so distracted by the things that are right in front of us that we're never even thinking about priorities and things that matter most and what it even takes to maintain things. Like, when is the last time someone sat down and said, hey, what are the things I need to do to maintain a healthy marriage with my wife or my husband?
Right.
Or a healthy relationship with my kids or with my friends? Like, I can promise you that's maybe like a once a year thought that most people have.
Yeah, but on the other end of the spectrum, it's very common to hear, how do I patch this? How do I fix it?
Right.
How do I cut the, like,
Well,
put it back
and
together?
crisis mode.
Because
And that's why I'm asking the question,
yeah,
because I think a
we
lot of
go-
times we're dealing with stuff on the other side of the issue.
Right.
And we're not preemptively trying to figure out, like, okay, well, how do I do things so I don't even have an issue? And maybe issues will pop up and I can deal with them as they are. But like, I think most of us, we spend our life in crisis mode, just responding to the things that have happened. There's not a lot of people who are very proactive trying to get ahead of things.
That's super good.
There's also the avoidant option too.
Tell us about
I'm
that.
going to go to Jenny's house and not even look
Not
at my
me.
sprinklers.
Not me. I'm
talking for a friend.
There is.
Yeah.
So sprinklers. My neighborhood, it has a non-potable water supply, but there is.
Explain that.
So it's not just like the water that you drink. It comes
You
from
don't
like
drink
a
it.
lake.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
treated.
okay.
Yeah. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
It's cheaper for a time.
Yeah, and the pump or whatever coming from the lake has not been functioning. And so none of us in our neighborhood have been able to turn our sprinklers on. And for me, that's kind of nice. Like,
We're all in the same boat.
I had like a whole day scheduled out where I was like, all right, today's sprinkler day. But then I looked around and I realized it's like I've not seen a single sprinkler in my neighborhood turned on. And so I emailed the lady and she emailed back saying, hey, like, hopefully this will get fixed by next week. And I said, awesome.
Problem solved.
This is incredible.
So this is you then. You're going,
Yeah.
it's not me, but it is.
And every day I look around my neighborhood and find relief in not seeing any sprinklers turning on. It's like, I don't have to. Like, if I turn it on, like, but there's going to be a day where they get it fixed and I'm going to have to turn these on again. And I think this mentality of like, if I don't turn the water back on, there aren't going to be any issues that surface that I'm going to have to fix.
Oh man, this is good.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
Yeah. But in the long term, I also realized like there's a part of me now it's like, so it's been like, okay, this is great. Like they can take all the time that they want to fix this thing. But then I look at my grass, I'm like, okay, I'm really glad it rained this week because like if I don't get like water on my lawn, like this thing is going to die. And by neglecting to turn on this thing that could surface different issues, it's causing this other thing in the background to like slowly like shrivel up and die. And I don't know, there could be a parallel to that.
Yeah.
I'm about, in like a week and a half, I'm about to step into a sabbatical. And it feels a lot like I've been trying so hard to think through. It's like, okay, what is like the purpose of this time? What do I need to be like figuring out? Like that might be
That
it.
might
like,
be
depending
the
on when they get
first day of sabbaticals when they
Dang
turn
it.
on.
Like,
Happy sabbatical.
yeah, so stupid. But it really like I can't figure out what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like I can't figure out what the purpose is. It's not clear what I need, and it really feels like sabbatical's going to start, and I'm going to turn the water on, and I'm going to see what the status of things is. Like I have for a very long time, for like 12 years, been prioritizing other people a lot, and now it's a season to prioritize myself, and I don't know what's going to happen when I do that. I don't know what parts of my soul are going to start flooding and like what pipes are going to burst. And I'm going to realize like, oh, shoot.
Oh, no.
I have a ton of work to do. I've got to block out a whole day. I had other plans, but now I got to do this. And yeah, so I'm excited for it, but I'm also kind of nervous about it too. And there might be things that like in our life that we know are responsibilities that we have that we know need addressing, that we know need attention. But for a long time, we've gotten by not focusing on those. And it's just coming to the point where it's like, okay, now it's the season where it's like these things have to be turned back on.
And so like in the same way that there's a season to turn the water on to be able to figure out the issues we have to address, like I think the converse is also true. Like there's also a season to turn the water off and not address the issues. And I know we're moving in the spring, but like, man, sometimes the circles I run in, it feels like every issue is this pressing issue that we have to deal with right away.
Sure.
It's like, hey, you've got this thing. Here's this book. See this therapist. Go to this thing. And that's great. Like, that's great. But like, there are some seasons where I think it's okay to turn the water off and just to go, okay, we're going to leave this for later. This is not something that we need to address right now. For you, unfortunately, you're going into sabbatical, so you got to turn that water on.
Time for you.
But I only say that to because I think we all know these people, right? Like there's always something that they've got to be doing. There's always some work. There's always something that has to be fixed. And I only say this because I've imagined there's got to be at least one listener where it's like, hey, maybe right now, maybe you should turn the water off and just rest.
I think like there truly is a value in the term of season.
Yeah.
So some important components of seasons are they come back again.
Yeah.
So it isn't just a time and space that isn't going to come back. A season, it's seasonal. It comes back again. And for us to embrace as human beings that there are seasons and there are seasons that things are breaking through the dirt and growing, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so hopeful. There's a season of summer where things are bearing fruit that's different from breaking through the ground.
Yeah.
There's a season that if you had a successful fruit-bearing season, that there's going to be a lot of things on the ground that you have to clean up because there's a season of fall and autumn, and it's not a season of bearing fruit. But our culture builds this idea that you should be bearing fruit all the time. Something that is healthy bears fruit.
Yep.
I would say something that's healthy but bears fruit in its season, and then there's the ability to shift and go through autumn and to be able to thank for the things that have borne fruit. And then there's a season that things are buried and cold, and a healthy thing survives the cold, right? It isn't they're bearing fruit and there's snow on the ground. That's just funny. So if you believe that you have to be bearing fruit all the time, that's unhealthy, and that goes against the order of things.
So we're talking about sprinklers and seasons, but for the less poetic minded,
Why are you looking at me?
I'm looking around. I think you're poetically minded.
Very much so.
Bringing it down to like a real life context, like maybe it would be helpful if like we threw out some like practicals of like if someone wasn't like if the light bulb didn't turn on with the whole sprinklers and stuff, but it's like what are the actual seasons that could like parallel with the things that we've been talking about?
I can just speak as a parent that, and this kind of goes against what I said at the beginning, wanting to have these like rekindle these friendships and having this longingness for that happens to me at the busiest month of a parent. So it's post Easter and then you get May, the end, and there is no time for anybody. And most of my friends obviously are parents. And so you have this longing and I'm trying to connect and we need to get together. And it's like, week after week, it feels like, okay, that's not going to work. This isn't going to work. And then you get another email for another, performance, award ceremony. Yeah. And it's all this stuff. So it's like there's longing, but this holding back, well, I can't right now because so for me, I had this thought even in April that I'm like, my husband and I sometimes when we know a busy month is coming up, or we call it, okay, this is a month of no. We have to say no to things. We can't add anything else. And so we just have that in the back of our minds. And I feel like May is always a month of no.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I'm like, we have the month of no so that May can just happen. And we can be like, yes, we know this, something else just showed up. That's okay because we've said no to everything else.
Yeah.
That's good. I think about like the general feeling I get. Thinking about like a broken pipe. I'm going to shift from the poetic, but the same. There is an anxiety that I feel before I turn on the sprinkler, like the little thingy. I don't even know what the thing is called.
Yeah, like the
but
water
it's
main.
like the water is coming. And so if we can say that the symbol of the water is there's life and energy being directed towards something. There's this anxiety that I have that the pipes aren't going to be able to hold it. Okay. And I don't know how to predict it, but it's going to happen. So taking that feeling. So if I turn the water on for my finances, so if I have not been paying attention to it, right, on purpose because, oops, and all of a sudden I'm going to go into my bank accounts and see the damage, like the same types of feelings. If my health, going to the doctor, because I'm going to see the unseen. Tell me the truth. To turn on the sprinkler valve is to say, tell me the truth of the thing. Because I have a desire to have a green lawn. And there's that saying of the grass is greener on the other side. This idea to have a green lawn, this idea to be in a place of health and beauty, that's an age-old type of thing. And to turn on our sprinklers is to say, am I going to have a green lawn? Am I capable? Am I? And so you're able to take that and say, am I actually as close to God as I thought? Am I actually as spiritual? Am I telling the truth to my soul that I'm invested, or am I just going to church? Am I actually a good parent? Or am I just feeding them? Am I checking the boxes and calling that a good parent? I think that there's like this symbol, especially biblically, of water that comes throughout, especially in the New Testament. Everything's agricultural. And are you thirsty? Like those types of things. So what is it to turn on the water in a time that Easter begs us and says that death is not the final thing? Your grass doesn't have to be brown, but there's this fear of turning on the sprinklers because you know that the truth is going to be told.
The scenario this makes me think of a lot is like a marriage or a relationship. And I like what you were saying, Jenny. It's like sometimes there is a season where it's like something just can't be focused on. Like it's a winter. So like my marriage, like November through December, we are just surviving Thanksgiving and Christmas and our 2 kids' birthdays in between. And it's like, it's okay to like turn off the water.
We're gonna make it.
But then like when the birds start chirping again, like taking the status of the lawn of our marriage. It's like, it's looking a little dry.
Crispy.
Maybe we need to like turn on the systems that like help our
Yeah.
marriage like survive again. And just like you said, it's like this rushing of water. And I think that simply like it could just be asking, so how do you feel like we're doing?
Yeah.
And the question just opens, and then all of a sudden
The truth
it's like,
comes out.
Yeah, there's like pressure in all these systems again, and then we see where the leaks are, and like the systems aren't working, or like things are clogged, and trying to like just one by one, it's like, okay, like there's 3 zones that are flooding. Let's just start with one and patch it up. And that's a hard thing to do.
But I think it's the most important thing, right? Because I think in turning on the water, you're having this belief that the grass can be green.
Yeah.
And so
That's really
it's
good.
not, you're not turning on the water to go, can I have green grass? By turning it on, you're saying, no, I believe I can. And now this shows me all the things that I need to work on in order to have it. So whether it's marriage, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, or just your plain old lawn, when you turn it on, like that is honestly probably the hardest step, but the most important one. It can be the scariest because you don't know what you're going to find. But once you find it, maybe it's like one pipe this year. And maybe next year it's a sprinkler head. And 3 years from now, it's a water pump.
Yeah.
It's like a funny thing, though, the anxiety beforehand, because you think...
It can only be bad.
It can only be bad. It can only be impossible.
Yes.
I'm going to have to hire someone.
Right.
I can't do this by myself.
Right.
And then there's a spiral.
Yeah.
And then after you do it, you're like, it's pretty straightforward.
And
it's
then
a
you
pipe.
discover
I can fix-
YouTube.
Yeah. I can fix this pipe. I can fix this sprinkler. It costs $2. You know, like, and then at the end of the day, it's like, oh my gosh, we did it.
Yeah.
And so I think fear and anxiety in the season of spring, if you are in the season of spring, fear and anxiety should not play a part. Or, I don't know, like there's,
I think you just have to recognize that's a part of our natural human instinct, but then understand that God is calling us out of that.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to be afraid. And KJ, I know this is true for you. Whenever I fix something that I thought would be impossible, the amount of pride that I feel and the sense of self-accomplishment, it actually gives me more conviction and confidence the next time I face something. And what I find is like, hey, each passing year when I turn the water on in my sprinklers, I'm actually not as nervous because I'm like, no, I've been here. Like I've done this. I know what to do. And I think the same thing is true with our finances, with our relationships, with anything you can think about. Like the more we do it, the better we get at navigating it, the more healthy we are in our responses. And then suddenly those things that are overwhelming, causing all kinds of fear and anxiety, it's like, oh no, it's spring. It's time to fix a few things.
A big thing I've had to work on a lot is in situations like that, being okay when I get to the place of, I don't know how to do this. I am going to need to hire someone to help. And there's so many like subsurface, like insecurity, identity things about that.
100%.
And I'm just talking about like sprinklers here. It's like, how can I say I have any worth or value if I can't fix this sprinkler? It's like, but I haven't spent any time learning about this. Like, this is not my area of expertise. And it happens the same thing with like cars too. It's like, I have failed as a human being if I can't fix my car. But I experience the same thing every time I take my car to the mechanic and every time I call the sprinkler repair company and have them over. I feel this sense of peace of just like, it's gonna be okay. Like it's gonna get taken care of.
Yeah.
I'm still who I am, even though I couldn't figure it out. And so there might be situations where it's like, whatever this applies to, whether it's like your marriage or yourself or your relationship with God, and like things are drying up and you try turning on the systems that are supposed to bring life to it and those aren't working the way that they should and you don't know how to fix it, asking someone to help you. Yeah. Even if it's like hiring someone like a therapist or something, like whatever, like there's a lot of worth in that. And it's okay to get to the place where it's like, I can't figure this out on my own. Well, don't turn the water off. Well, if it's a sprinkler system, turn the water off. But like, don't just like wait till next spring.
Yeah.
But like, call someone.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's not only okay, it's like encourage. Like
It
that
is.
would be awesome.
Yeah.
There comes a point, and it's also in that idea of maintaining. There also is this like there's a pattern of people who maintain for a super long time,
Yeah.
but you're not supposed to be in this space.
Yeah.
There's a season of
Growth.
Yeah.
but it's hard to figure out how to dream beyond or to build a better system, or it's too expensive to keep the system you have going, or the poetry can just go on forever on this one. But it is a season of healing. It's a season of patching. It's a season of fixing. It's a season of growth. It's a season of Easter. And so I'm kind of excited about that and to participate spiritually. So if you haven't caught on, the podcast is not about sprinklers at all.
Or the Pope.
Yeah, or the Pope.
That's okay.
Threw you off.
Yeah.
Or is it? This is about our hearts, the fears, anxieties, the focusing on the places that you have forgotten about, or bring you to places of anxiety because you know if you pull the curtain back, there's something there. So the curtain has been torn in two, and God is behind the curtain and in front of the curtain, all over the curtain. And so turning on the sprinklers is just simply pointing out this idea of it is time to tell the truth and to see the places that the Holy Spirit is pointing at of there is hope here, there is promise here, and the gospel can do some great things in those places.
Amen.
Love it.
Really good.
All right. We will see you guys at our next one.